Good evening and welcome to a special CBS 6 live broadcast, an exclusive Saratoga Springs mayoral debate. I am Tom Eschen. We have incumbent Mayor Republican John Safford and County Supervisor Democrat Michele Madigan here with us tonight. Over the next hour, they'll be addressing the biggest issues facing the city right now. So first, let's meet the candidates here tonight. Mayor John Safford finishing up his first term in office, now looking for a second term. Challenging his spot, Democrat Michele Madigan. Madigan currently a Saratoga County Supervisor, co-representing the city there, and served as the Commissioner of Finance previously for a decade. Let's get to tonight's rules. Agreed upon prior to tonight, our candidates were not allowed to bring notes to their lecterns, but a paper and pen have been provided if they'd like to take notes as we go on. This is a closed debate, no live audience from the public here. Timing-wise, 30 seconds for opening statements, 2 minutes to respond to questions, 30 seconds for rebuttals if necessary. There is a potential for 30-second follow-up questions if need be. They will be given 1 minute and 30 seconds for their closing statements. Now, we had a coin toss conducted beforehand for the opening and closing statements, so let us begin. And we do begin with John Safford. He won the coin toss, chose to go first. Mayor Safford, you have 30 seconds for your opening statement.
Thank you, Tom. I'm John Safford, the 23rd mayor of Saratoga Springs, here to talk about staying on with civility, to continue to manage professionally, and to represent the city with dignity and class. I'm glad to be here tonight to talk about the things that we have done, about the things that we still need to do, and be just grateful to have this opportunity to discuss this in public. Thank you.
Mayor Safford, thank you very much. Supervisor Madigan, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Michele Madigan, the mother of 2 sons, a librarian by training, and a decades-long public servant. I am currently working for Ames Services and serve as a county supervisor, where I was instrumental in obtaining a parcel so that we could have a permanent Code Blue facility. During my tenure as Commissioner of Finance, I put out 10 budgets, keeping taxes stable. I even decreased them a few times, and refinanced debt, saving taxpayers $1 million. I also spearheaded many green energy projects, including our spa solar park.
Thank you, Supervisor Madigan. We'll have more time to get into all of that as the night goes on. Your 30 seconds is up. We do have to get to our first topic tonight, and that is the unhoused population. The comptroller data shows homelessness more than doubled in Saratoga Springs between 2022 and 2024. It's a topic addressed different ways, different administrations over the years. In recent years, there's been a Saratoga collaborative to end homelessness, a task force on homelessness, temporary, low barrier, and Code Blue shelters. We have signs on the streets to donate to nonprofits, a camping ordinance. We'll get to that in a moment. Moving forward, I asked you, Supervisor Madigan, what is the right approach to this issue?
The right approach is the approach that we've been using now for a few years, an approach that's fairly recent. We set up a homeless court in the downtown city of Saratoga Springs, so that if the homeless are arrested, let's say on a misdemeanor, they're allowed to go in front of our judge, and she can either offer them 15 days in jail or the possibility of using something like services provided by RISE, who works a lot with the homeless and mentally ill and those who have substance use disorders. It works very well. We also have a low barrier shelter that people can go to. So it's my understanding, if you look at Saratoga Springs now, we used to have tents and mattresses all over the place in our downtown. People would recognize that. But today, due to the homeless court and RISE services, I think we're doing very well. We're going to talk about the no camping ordinance. I do not support the no camping ordinance, and I will have my reasons for that, because I think we are already treating our homeless with compassion. RISE will tell you they have an 80% success rate. I've spoken with people throughout our judicial system, and from what I understand, we have about the same five people who continuously kind of go through that homeless court. And maybe someday they will accept RISE services, also find themselves with a job and employed and moving on to the best of their ability with their life.
Mayor Madigan, Supervisor Madigan, thank you very much. Mayor Safford, you have 2 minutes to respond to that question. What is the right path forward here? What's the right approach to the unhoused population?
The unhoused population is obviously a serious and growing problem. It's a complicated problem. I'd like to point out that I've been working with homeless vets for over 20 years since I got here. I certainly am very well associated with the VCHC, the Veterans Housing Coalition. I was the chairman of the Elks Veterans Chairman for many years. So this is not something that's new to me. I've been working personally on this for many, many years. And as mayor, I've tried to address it in the most positive ways. Again, it's complicated. There are basically three types of homeless. There are the financial homeless. The financial homeless are generally not a problem. They want to get housed. There's a tremendous number of services here that we provided. I wrote an op-ed on it not long ago. We're very familiar, and we work very closely with those people. Then there are the people who are addicted or have mental problems. Those folks need special attention. And then the supervisor just mentioned the 5 or 6 that are a problem. We do have people who are kind of chronically homeless and want to be. So at any rate, we're addressing all of those at one time. But the one that we're mainly concerned about right now are the people with mental illnesses or people who cannot help themselves. It is unconscionable for us to let them lie in the street or sleep overnight without trying to do something about it and try our best to connect them to services, which is what we're doing.
Supervisor Madigan, you have 30 seconds if you'd like to respond to anything that he said.
I would like to respond because I do agree that we are trying to help the homeless. However, I believe that Mayor Safford believes in an incarceration model, and I've heard this from a number of the nonprofits, where we would like to be able to incarcerate the homeless beyond the 15 days that you may be required to impose to 30 days so that they are sent to the county system and forced into their rehabilitation program. I do not think that's the way we should treat our homeless. I think they should be treated with compassion. We know that RISE in our downtown, and it works.
Supervisor Madigan, thank you very much. Mayor Safford, 30 seconds yourself.
That is a lie, I'm afraid, Supervisor. In fact, when you voted in 2016, you voted for jail time in the provision that was made at that time. And this ordinance we just put in has no jail time in it. So for you to sit there and say that I want to incarcerate people when in your bill, jail was in, and my bill is no jail, it's just a lie.
Another 30 seconds if you'd like to respond to a direct
There's no jail
approach there.
time in what we passed in 2016. We had 4 public hearings for that. The mayor had 1 public hearing on his no camping ban based on the conservative Supreme Court's 6-3 decision on Grants Pass. The mayor had 1 public hearing and read prepared statements. Their law that they passed puts a $250 fine on the homeless. What we put, it was a no obstruction law. You got $50 or community service, that was it.
One more rebuttal, Mayor, to this topic.
The supervisor is just telling an untruth.
I do want to ask one more response to this, and that is what is potentially within this next term, December 2026, the temporary, I just mentioned that in our opening here, temporary 24/7 low barrier shelter that is set to expire by RISE in December 2026. So the question here is there a permanent 24/7 low barrier shelter part of your plan in the next 2 years beyond the 2026 deadline that they have put forth? When that will end, leaving no temporary 24/7 low barrier shelter. Mayor.
Myself, yes. I mean, this is, if you were at the budget, if you listened to the budget meeting on Tuesday, that low barrier shelter does not have any money right now. And I am saying that is because of poor financial planning. We've made a commitment to fund that for the next year, and I don't know what's going to happen in the following year, but we definitely have that on the books to do next year, and we have to find the money to pay for it.
Supervisor Madigan, you have 30 seconds to answer that same question.
First of all, I do not appreciate being called a liar because I am absolutely not a liar. My facts are facts. Secondly, yes, there was no money in the budget. And Mayor, I suggest you go back and learn how much money the city actually has. You asked a question the other night at the budget meeting, what is fund balance? You didn't even know what it was, and you do not know how much you have. Now, once you figure that out, you may be able to have better better financial planning for the mayor's office.
Let's get to the camping ordinance now. The latest move by the city to address this issue. The council voted 3-2 to implement that back during the summer. Before we get to the answers here, we want to take you back to a public hearing about the camping ordinance in July. Just mentioned that here. Turned contentious.
Housing, not handcuffs! Housing, not handcuffs!
The city's only temporary shelter, run by RISE Housing and Supportive Services, is full, with a regular wait list of Saratoga Springs and Saratoga County residents seeking a bed.
Now, some argue, Public Safety Commissioner in Light argues the ordinance is meant to connect homeless people with resources like RISE, the NYCLU. Others argue it criminalizes the homeless population. The Saratoga Springs camping ordinance fines, as we heard, people up to $250 for sitting or lying down on public property. I did reach out to the police department. Since August 1st, they've issued 31 warnings, 20 citations. I have been told no fines have been implemented by the court. So, is the camping ordinance a proper way to combat homelessness in the city? I'll start with Supervisor Madigan.
Absolutely not. It is the absolute wrong way, and that was a partisan vote, 3-2, 3 Republicans to 2 Democrats. This ordinance does not work.
Tim Cole was a part of that vote. He is listed as a Democrat.
Yes, he's listed as a Democrat, but he
well.
endorses Republicans, and he votes with the Republicans, and he's running on the Republican line. So, you know, anyway. So back to the no camping ordinance. It's the wrong thing for our community. Like I said, we've got maybe 4 or 5 people that are consistently a problem. The ordinance does not allow for community service, which is exactly why our judge tosses them out. She is not going to fine the homeless $250. Today, I heard in court that one of the people that was fined declined to have his case thrown out because he wants to fight this, because he finds it unconstitutional. Even though the Supreme Court, in a 6-3 vote, passed the Grants Pass, Oregon, decision, which is exactly what ours is modeled after. I sent an email to the city council. It was a friendly email suggesting they bring their ordinance back and amend it so that the judge could have the leeway to actually offer RISE services, community services, some other level of service besides a fine. $250? The homeless are going to pay $250? It's unbelievable. You bring up the sit-stand ordinance that we passed in 2016. We had no shelter, the low-barrier shelter. We did not have RISE services. There were all sorts of things we didn't have at the time. And that was only an obstruction law. You could not sit or lie in the middle of Broadway. Women with strollers were going up Broadway and they couldn't get around. We had 4 public hearings on that, long public hearings. The mayor had someone arrested at the one public hearing that he held and then read prepared notes, like he wasn't even listening to the people, and voted for the camping ordinance.
Supervisor Madigan, thank you. Mayor Safford, is the camping ordinance a proper way to combat homelessness in the city? You have up to 2 minutes.
Well, the question, it's working. What we put in place is working. So, as I say, we got to a point that we had people sleeping on the streets, we had people passed out, and we couldn't really do much about that. So now we have at least a tool where we can help to encourage them to get help. The problem that we have is with the people who are not capable of making a decision to help themselves. So that by using the ticketing system that we do, having them come to court, we are encouraging them. And also, we have all the services, as the supervisors pointed out. We have all these services that are available for them. And frankly, it has, all I can tell you is that what we have been doing so far has been working. I know that a couple of the people that were chronic are doing so much better now. It's just that we've drawn a line in the sand and we said, we want you to be better. We want you to do better, and that's what we're working to do.
Supervisor Madigan, up to 30 seconds of a rebuttal.
I don't understand how it's working when you cited the statistics on how many people have been arrested on this, and they've all been dismissed by the judge. And the reason they're dismissed is because the judge will not impose a $250 fine. She needs the option to allow for homelessness services through RISE and the low barrier shelter. That option does not exist, so I do not understand how this ordinance is working. And we also just talked about maybe 5 people. If we've got 5 people that we really need to help in our downtown, I think we can do that without arresting them and imposing a $250 fine.
Supervisor Madigan, thank you very much. Mayor Safford, up to 30 seconds. seconds. Last thoughts on this?
Supervisor doesn't know what she's talking about.
We continue with affordability now. Residents, the business community, they all continue to tell us they can't afford to work and live in the city of Saratoga Springs. That's healthcare, businesses, teachers, hospitality. So what will you do to incentivize more affordable housing? And for this topic, we will start with Mayor Safford. You have up to 2 minutes.
It's an excellent question that you're starting, because we're not talking about the affordable housing that we've had for many years. We're talking about real workforce housing, which is what you just defined. Or even attainable housing is kind of a new area that we're looking at. We just had a couple of interns this year come in, and they did a great job. They did a presentation at one of the meetings, and have identified for us a number of ways where we may be able to allow and get first-time homeowners to be able to purchase homes in Saratoga. And we're looking at those very closely right now and continuing to look at those things. The other thing is workforce housing. So this is an interesting thing that happens sometimes with affordable housing, which we have around 1,800 units now, either already made and purchased, but or being built. But the cool thing that we just were able to do, especially you know, in the new developments out by the railroad, by working with the Housing Authority and Kerry Warner's office, we were able to set aside 40% of those for workforce housing in Saratoga County. This is something that was initiated by us, and it's a really good move toward real workforce housing for people who are working. The problem with the affordable housing is that they're on a lottery, and people can come from anywhere. But at any rate, we've got this moving forward, and we're very proud of what we're doing with that.
Supervisor Madigan, the same question. What will you do to incentivize more affordable housing if elected? You have up to 2 minutes.
I do think there is a difference between affordable housing and workforce housing, and I do believe the city, even during my tenure as Commissioner of Finance, we have been putting up a lot of affordable housing. And this new initiative over on, I believe, around Allen Drive, Kirby Road is a very good one. But we've got an issue with workforce housing. The average home in Saratoga Springs right now costs $700,000. This is not something that a firefighter, school teacher, librarian could come into our community and afford. We're becoming gentrified as a result of the cost of these homes. We also have a short-term rental problem. We have LLCs coming in and buying up parcels. I am walking and knocking on doors. Every neighborhood I go to, the person brings me out into the street and says, this one is not owner-occupied, by the way. There's a difference. Vacant, short-term rental. There are 5 or 6 of them in any neighborhood. We have to do something about that. Our comprehensive plan calls for vibrant neighborhoods. The people in these neighborhoods, they want families with children to move in, bicycles, and just activity out in their streets. And we are being overwhelmed with short-term housing. So we have to look at accessory dwelling units. We have to look at working with the state. The governor last year in her budget had tax credits embedded in her budget for land to work with municipalities. It didn't make it in the end. I'm hoping she's going to bring it back. I want to be able to go out and buy tracts of land with tax credits and build workforce housing, some affordable housing too, for families with children. That's what we need to do, and it is my #1 priority as your next mayor.
Supervisor Madigan, thank you very much. Up to 30 seconds, Mayor Safford, if you want to address anything there?
We are definitely working on those, all of those ideas. We're making great progress, and I expect that we'll see a lot of results in my next administration.
Supervisor Madigan, quick response there as well. Up to 30 seconds for this. The short-term rental registry that's being implemented, where does that fit into what you were just talking about?
The short-term registry is really about non-owner-occupied rentals. And I think it's important to have a distinction there, and I think it's important, if I'm on the city council once again, we will make sure that we pass laws that do not affect owner-occupied rentals. We've been doing this in Saratoga Springs for decades. We have a history of doing it. So it's the LLCs or the individuals who come in, pay cash, and they're driving up the price of homes. And
Supervisor
we need neighborhoods.
Madigan, thank you very much. One more question on this, up to 30 seconds to respond, is the process when it comes to zoning, the planning board, and cutting some red tape here. And that's what I've been hearing from some of the residents is it's difficult. The zoning doesn't allow for this. Is there something you can do more with the planning board to be able to incentivize more housing like you've been talking about? Up to 30 seconds, Mayor.
Yes, it's not just the planning board. You know, what we're talking about is our UDO. We're talking about the rules that we've established 5, 6 years ago to define where those zoning areas are. And we're working very closely with our building and planning departments to right now see if there might be some areas that we may be able to make some changes that are positive for the people in those areas. So we're working on this.
Supervisor Madigan, up to 30 seconds. Would you make changes within the planning board to help this process?
Absolutely. Right now, our building and planning department is overwhelmed. They can't even turn around a CO. You know, it takes 6 months to a year. It takes over 2 years. I'm on the streets. I'm walking. People are frustrated with building and planning. Businesses can't open. They're spending thousands of dollars and they still can't open. They can't get a CO. So if we're going to take on all this additional work, we got to have a building and planning department that works. And right now, it does not work. Outside of hearing about short-term rentals, the other thing I hear about is the building and planning department.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Madigan. Thank you both for answering that. The winner of this election will oversee the 3rd Belmont Stakes in Saratoga Springs, likely the last, and we want to touch on the long-term financial impact of that Belmont in Saratoga. Each of the first 2 years featured a concert on Broadway. This year there was an extra day of racing as well. Don't forget, this year there was also a July 4th Festival of Races, going beyond the 40-day meet, 49 days in total. Year 2, we're told, was an improvement over year 1 in terms of the city's financial windfall. And we did just have the budget presentation on Tuesday of this week. We did have some different recommendations from the finance commissioner with that. So we will ask, what will you do to maximize the final year of the Belmont in Saratoga? And how does that impact the long-term finances the city is facing right now? We will start this with Supervisor Madigan. You do have up to 2 minutes to answer.
Thank you. I believe the city's finances are good. So let's talk about the Belmont. Our finance commissioner has said that for the city, it doesn't bring in a lot of revenue once we take into account overtime for police officers and other things that we have to do to get the city ready to host Belmont. But I believe that Belmont goes well beyond city finances. We had an extra 200,000 visitors visit in Saratoga Springs for the Belmont and the additional 4th of July days, and about 1 million visitors for our regular track season. That's 1.2 million visitors. Those 200,000 that showed up for Belmont are people who don't typically come to Saratoga Springs, and they finally made it here. And it was a wonderful experience from them. Our Discover Saratoga, which is our marketing arm for the county, it reaches out to these people, surveys them. So I think all of the splendor and wonder that we have in our downtown is worth every penny, or every penny maybe we don't make. But that's just talking about city finances. We still have to talk it to the businesses. I believe their sales tax revenue is up, and all of that is economic development, which is good for our city. Hosting the Belmont is a thrill. It's grand, and I don't necessarily think you can put a total monetary value on it. And we're definitely not losing money at the city. We still have seen some financial gains, but we're hosting the 3rd leg of the Triple Crown, and that's a wonderful thing for the city of Saratoga Springs.
Thank you, Supervisor Madigan. Up to 2 minutes, Mayor Safford. What will you do to maximize the final year of the Belmont in Saratoga? How does that impact the long-term finances for the city?
Well, I actually agree with Supervisor Madigan. The Belmont has been wonderful for this city, and 3 years just adds to that. The fact is that mainly because of the media coverage, Saratoga Springs has become not only a national known place to be, but an international known place to be. So I agree. We're not losing at all by losing the Belmont. I'm not really that concerned about the long-term effects. A lot of people are not aware of how diverse our economics are in this city. A lot of you aren't aware of our manufacturing arm. We have a very strong manufacturing arm with some real high-tech companies that just moved in that we cut ribbon for recently. And then on the other side, we now have Empire University, which is growing like crazy, bringing people in. You know, that's an online university, brings people in. Skidmore is doing well. Our natural resources bring people in. Our downtown is superb, and our arts, our whole, you know, the appeal of our arts is also international. Certainly with SPAC, but now throughout all of our arts community and our beautiful downtown. People come here and they come on a convention and then they come back to. I am not worried at all about our future.
I mean, I will ask with a 30-second response here. On Tuesday, the Commissioner of Finance did have some recommendations, a hiring freeze at that and lowering nonprofit grant allocations, looking at the short and long-term finances. Is that at all a concern to you, Supervisor Madigan?
I believe right now the City Council is unaware of the amount of money that they are sitting on. And beyond that, I think it's up to the City Council to go back and figure out what resources they have. I do not want to see our nonprofits cut. I do not want to see our marketing arm, Discover Saratoga, cut from our budget. And I believe, having been a former 10-year Commissioner of Finance, that there is a lot more leeway in the budget. I have all the respect in the world for our current Commissioner of Finance, but we are missing a preliminary financial year-end report.
Thank you, Supervisor Madigan. Mayor Safford, same question. Those concerns may be raised on Tuesday recommendations by the Commissioner of Finance.
Frankly, the rest of us were pretty concerned, and we were kind of shocked with that report. So we're still mulling over that. But again, I would point out that, as I was last at that meeting, that our long-term financing projections have not been very good in terms of these expenses that we're currently seeing. I am concerned about it.
Mayor Safford, thank you so much. We will move on here. Civility is something you've both spoken about in recent years, and that includes interactions between elected officials, and members of the community at that. The question, is Saratoga more civil than it was 2 years ago? Mayor Safford, up to 2 minutes.
Well, I think that I would just have to remind people of what the City Council was like 3 years ago, and if they remember that, absolutely. I made the promise to bring civility to City Hall and to the meetings, and I've done that, not without challenges. A lot of people don't remember, I call it Little Red Riding Hood, but the handmaiden and all the antics that they went on. We got through that. We now have peaceful, safe meetings. People can feel free to come to those meetings. But the effect on City Hall has been immense. To have the stability that commissioners who are not fighting in City Hall make City Hall a much better place. And I absolutely am so thrilled that I was able to do that, bring some kind of stability to that. But I want to talk about this word civility itself. A lot of people think that it's just niceness. It's not. Civility is the foundation of a civilization, and it's a line in the sand. It's a standard that you set for the way we treat one another. And so there are rules and there are regulations and there are things that you have to implement and work with people. And I have always been very, very open to talk to anybody. And my door is always open in my office. I am very open and will continue to do that. And act civilly in that sense.
Mayor, thank you. Supervisor Madigan, is Saratoga more civil than it was 2 years ago?
I believe so, yes. However, I think we still have a long way to go. The mayor doesn't bring a gavel to the meeting. The meetings do get out of control. We have certain commissioners that go back and forth and back and forth. We have a certain commissioner that interrupts constantly, and that's easily taken care of with a gavel. We've also had people arrested by Mayor Safford. Mayor Safford, all the rules Mayor Safford has said have been set since I first entered the council back in 2012. We would come forward at the beginning of every meeting and review the guidelines for appropriate behavior for city council members and the public. And we've always done that. We've always had a 3-minute time for public comment, public hearings. You could come up and speak for as long as you like. when a person hits 3 minutes at public comment, this mayor will shout you down, make you sit down, or he will have you removed and arrested. And I don't think that that's civil. You can at least let someone finish a sentence, and I will let people finish their sentence. I saw the best mayor I've ever seen handle meetings was Mayor Scott Johnson. And he did allow people to finish their sentence. Public hearings should have no time limit. The mayor held one of his first major public hearings where a lot of people really showed up in Saratoga Springs, and one woman spoke for 40 minutes. Now, I listen to people speak sometimes 90 minutes. I sat through a lot of public hearings, and he got fed up, and he had her arrested. That's not civil. We had a screaming match this Tuesday night at the city council table. The mayor couldn't handle it. Mayor, I'd like to give you some advice. A gavel would work wonders for you.
Mayor Safford,
Thank you.
up to 30 seconds to respond to that.
Promises made, promises kept. We have come 100% more civil, and the commissioner is also right about the supervisor, the one commissioner that causes all the problems. And I hope he gets out of office this year, and things would be a lot better. But we're doing good.
You do have 30 seconds, Supervisor Madigan.
I would like to say that I'm not speaking about any commissioner in particular. The back and forth happens amongst the commissioners. The mayor, it does run well, he's soft-spoken. You're soft-spoken. And you talk a lot about civility and harmony. Ad nauseum, actually. And everyone agrees with civility and harmony. Our community is civil. Our politics are not, just like on the national level. So when people tell you national politics don't belong at the city level, they do. Our community is frustrated about losing their democracy.
Let's talk about the future of paid parking in Saratoga Springs. The Commissioner of Public Works recently said revenue generated by the program expected to fall nearly $65,000 short of its goal. Part of the revenue is meant to maintain the city's parking garages, keep them staffed. Some business owners have voiced concerns about the impacts of parking fees on their customer base. So should the parking plan continue or should it change? We do want to get some more topics in here, so now we're going to give our candidates a minute to respond, and we will start this conversation with Supervisor Madigan. Paid parking, what will it look like moving forward if you're elected?
Paid parking has been an ongoing issue for about 2 decades in Saratoga Springs. Some people just love that we don't have it because we're probably one of the only communities in the entire country that doesn't have it. I do believe not having paid parking is leaving revenue on the table. However, we want to work together to come up with a solution. Right now we have a half-time, part-time solution. We only charge tourists in parking garages. It's very, very confusing. I'm of the mindset it's all or nothing. It's valuable real estate. If the business owners could look at their real estate right in front of their store on Broadway as the most valuable real estate there is, I think they would almost want to see it turn over regularly via paid parking. So I'm either do it all the way, stop this just doing it in the summertime, or leave it be altogether.
Supervisor Madigan, thank you. Mayor Safford, should the paid parking plan change? Should it continue? What are your thoughts? You have up to a minute.
You know, I'm supporting it continuing the way it is, not expanding it. I think that at first our downtown business people were pretty concerned about it, but I think I spent a lot of time with them. We had a couple of meetings talking about it, and I think that they're okay. My main concern is that we have a source of revenue to make sure that they're maintained and they're clean, and the things that people will feel safe going into them. This is something that so therefore I am in support of what we currently have, but I'm not in support of expanding it.
But not changing it either.
Not changing it.
Supervisor Madigan, up to 30 seconds to respond.
The only thing I would like to add is that if we ever did go all the way with paid parking, I would set up a fund for the downtown. That money, those funds, if the funds are coming from the downtown with paid parking, it should use to beautify the downtown, you know, repair sidewalks, lighting fixtures, street lights, like really build a beautiful downtown. So I want to make sure the business owners understand that. Money made in the downtown from parking should be reinvested back into a fund to assist the downtown. Flowers on Broadway, etc. Thank you.
Mayor Safford, anything to add to this?
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Status quo.
Yeah,
all right.
Status quo.
All right, we do move on here to one other topic before we get to our closing statements here in our next block. But This is once again born out of some council meetings, social media posts, shared videos and photos on Facebook regarding the presence of ICE officials in Saratoga. The council recently approving a resolution that thanked Paul Tonko for going to visit Batavia and the detention center there on behalf of his constituents. So I know that this is a federal issue, as we've heard, but as the mayor, what is your message to the community and what is your role in this moving forward? Mayor Safford, up to a minute.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, this is a federal issue. These are federal warrants that are being implemented, that they're following in. So the main thing that we're concerned about is that there is no conflict. You know, I'm not very happy with the masks that they wear. We've let people know that, but what we don't want to have is any kind of a conflict. So right now, they are letting us know if they're coming into town. They're not hear that often, but they are letting us know so that we can deconflict, is what's called, so that we don't have a blue-on-blue situation. But yes, I did send a letter to Congressman Tonko, and we are very concerned, and we'll follow up to make sure that these people's rights are being upheld.
Supervisor Madigan, up to a minute to respond to that, or actually to respond to the question is, what is the role, if elected as mayor, moving forward when it regards the presence of ICE?
I do not support ICE coming into our communities. We have a 14th Amendment. That 14th Amendment calls for due process for all people, and that includes immigrants. So having people come into our community wearing masks, driving unmarked cars, wearing plain clothes, and just pulling people off the street, putting them in an SUV, and then we never hear what's happened to them again, I think is unacceptable. And as mayor, I will do everything I can to keep ICE out. We have Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, threatening to arrest elected officials throughout the country if they do not get in line and let ICE do its job. Well, I don't want ICE in our community. This makes me nervous. I even spoke out at a city council meeting about it. What's keeping somebody from just dressing up as an ICE agent and picking somebody up? So, Tom Homan, you can add my name to the list of elected officials who will not support ICE in our city.
Supervisor Madigan, thank you. Mayor Safford, up to 30 seconds to respond to that.
I really have no response to that. We have a legal obligation to do what we're doing.
Our next topic we want to cover here is the future of the Saratoga Springs Police Station. The department pushing for an upgraded building. The current one on Lake Avenue dates back to the 1800s. So Supervisor Madigan, you have up to 45 seconds to answer this. Do you support current proposals for a new police station at this time?
I believe that the police department has made the case for a new police station. However, our bonding capacity will not allow us to bond up to $26 million. I'm hoping they will take that back and revise it, bring it down a bit. We have a Connolly Amendment in our charter. We have a self-imposed debt limit of 2%. However, I think that the mayor should become familiar with the word fund balance, understand what it is, and find out how much the city has. And I would recommend one of the reserves you can have in this New York State is a reserve for capital buildings and equipment. And I would recommend, depending on how much you have, maybe up to $5 million right now, be put in a reserve for a police. We can do this with a combination of bonding, reserve, and state funding.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Madigan. Mayor Safford, do you support the proposal for a new police station? Up to 45 seconds.
Having done over 100 budgets for community associations, I know what a fund balance is. Yes, I do. We should have done this 10 years ago. This would have been already done and ready. You know, what you have is 95 people where in a space that was made for maybe 20. Yeah, we have to do this. I personally had a, I walked through it and they showed me around, and this needs to change. So I'm 100% in favor of finding a way to do that and be creative about our finances.
All right, Mayor Safford, thank you so much. Now let's get to our closing statements, because the mayor started the opening statements. We'll now start the closing statements with Supervisor Madigan. You have up to 90 seconds for your closing remarks.
Well, I was cut off with my opening remarks, so I want to go back a little. I work for Ames Services, and I'm a current Saratoga County supervisor, where I was played a big role in obtaining a parcel for a Code Blue shelter, something that we have not had for over a decade, and yet we run Code Blue every year. I have a long history of accomplishments as the finance commissioner. The New York Civil Liberties Union, in their endorsement to me, said I have a bias toward action. We have a spa solar park. I worked on buying all of our streetlights back from National Grid so that we can do smart, innovative technology with them, have them dim, save money. The solar park saves up to 40% on our energy bills. I have refinanced debt several times, saving taxpayers $6 million. I worked with Habitat for Humanity to build homes in our downtown, actual homes, the 3 homes that are now, I'm proud to say, housed. I'm asking for your vote because I'm a mayor who can get things done. I have 12 years experience to the mayor's 1.5 years experience. I know that the mayor says he understands fund balance, and he may, but he asked the question Tuesday night at the city council meeting, what is fund balance? And Mayor, I'd like to ask you if you know how much fund balance you have. I humbly ask for your vote. I can do this job, and I'm ready to move forward with a bias for action.
Supervisor Madigan, thank you very much. Mayor Safford, you have up to 90 seconds for your closing remarks.
What I said was, do you mind trying to explain to the public what fund balance is? I certainly understand it. I was waiting for you to try and make it understandable. But at any rate, I am the 23rd mayor of Saratoga Springs, and I am proud to be here tonight to represent the city. As I said before, there are 3 things that we need to do. One is we need to remain civil and safe in our meetings and civil and safe in our city hall. The other thing is, we didn't really talk about it tonight, but the necessity of having professional management that empowers people, that is, I personally am fair, firm, and friendly. I'm a fair, firm, and friendly management type person. I've always been that way. I've managed many companies, and I certainly managed many HOAs. And I understand what management is about and how to apply and to use it so that it's effective, that everybody becomes effective. And the third thing is I want to continue to represent this wonderful city. I will represent it with dignity and with class. And so I am saying that I am the best mayor for the future of Saratoga Springs. Vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Supervisor Madigan. We appreciate your time and coming to address some of these topics so the voters are a little bit more educated, and that's why we're here after all. Thanks for joining us here for this exclusive CBS 6 debate. If you missed it, you can find the full debate on our website, cbs6albany.com. It's also going to be available on our YouTube page, and we're also going to make the audio version available for you as a Power in Politics podcast tomorrow morning. So that way you can get it wherever you might be, so you can hear their conversations on these topics here as we move forward. Stick with CBS 6. We'll continue to follow up on these topics. It doesn't end just here. Election Day is in November, so we'll stay on this for you as we will with all of the other local races over the course of the next few weeks. Once again, thanks so much for joining us here for this exclusive CBS 6 Saratoga Springs mayoral debate. We'll see you next time.